Why Yu-Gi-Oh won't have a reboot. The story of how Master Rule 4 almost killed the game. All right.
Over the past couple of years, I've seen people wanting to quote-unquote fix Yu-Gi-Oh due to its many problems.
Okay, hold on. Before I watch this, chat, I was thinking about this, right? And I am not transitioning MBT. That was just the emote, a reference to the emote. I am not transitioning to a Yu-Gi-Oh hater, chat. I am not. However, I was just thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh in totality, right? And certain things that I dislike about how Yu-Gi-Oh is as a game now. And I really was thinking about like DM era and even after that, chat. And I'm not saying that Yu-Gi-Oh needs to go back to GOAT format, but there were like major elements of the game. And actually the reason that I was thinking about it, chat, is I was listening to Face Up, Face Down, which is the Pegasus song on Yu-Gi-Oh Songs to Duel By. I think that's what it's called, right? Yu-Gi-Oh Songs to Duel By, or Yu-Gi-Oh Themes to Duel By. The album, chat. The Face Up, Face Down, Attack or Defend, Face Up, Face Down, this battle's to the end. And it's just like, there's certain elements of Yu-Gi-Oh, chat, that just don't exist anymore. And it's not about like Yu-Gi-Oh being a one-turn game, which also I hate. But like, I'll give you guys an example. Setting monsters in face-down defense position, chat. Does that exist anymore in Yu-Gi-Oh? Does that exist at all? Like, that doesn't exist. Setting monsters in face-down defense, that is no longer a Mimi goal. I guess. Like, and then anytime it's like, anytime that you can say, well, it does cap kind, like it's one super obscure outlier example, like Mimigul, which is a fucking TCG exclusive archetype they had to make just to implement or just to have some semblance of face down monsters. Face down monsters, chat, that just doesn't exist in Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. If you watch the original anime, chat, there's face down monsters all the time. Like, that used to actually be, I mean, I'm talking about, obviously, again, 20 years ago, chat, when I was a teenager, that was like an element of the game. It's like, what is that face down? I don't know if I want to attack that. All right, let's no meta cross out that. That's kind of like GOAT form. It's like, I don't want to attack that. Maybe, you know what I mean? That just doesn't exist anymore. Face down monsters. That's no longer an element of Yu-Gi-Oh, chat. It does not exist. If you play 10 duels, honestly, I would say not even 1 out of 10. If you're not playing against Mimigul, there's no such thing as face down monsters anymore. It doesn't exist in the game. I'm not even really gonna go battle trap. I was thinking battle traps, Dark Emperor, because I saw you put that. I would honestly just say trap cards in general, right? And I'm not talking about trap cards, chat, that can be activated from the hand. Cards like Infinite Impermanence and the Dominus cards, for all intents and purposes, don't even really count because they're not reactive. Well, they kind of are, but I'm thinking of like cards that are reactive, that are essentially, activate on very, very specific, like triggered conditions. Those don't really have, and the reason, again, I'm not saying battle trap is because I'm talking about like, I'll give you guys an example, a trap like Torrential Tribute. This used to be one of the most powerful traps in Yu-Gi-Oh history, chat. Torrential Tribute was at one for, I don't know, 4 eras of this game, something like that. Bottomless Trap Hole. Phoenix Chain. I mean, Phoenix Chain's not really a trigger, but trap cards like that, chat, for all intents and purposes, don't really exist. The only trap cards that we play, generally speaking, that are not archetype specific, are trap cards that can be activated from the hand. And yes, chat, I'm including Evenly Matched, because Evenly Matched can be activated from the hand. So the common trap cards that we play in Yu-Gi-Oh! In competitive, Infinite Impermanence, Dominus cards, Evenly Matched. That's it. All those cards can be activated from the hand. It's still good, but it doesn't, no. What I'm saying is, it just doesn't feel like what trap cards were designed to do. Solemns, I mean, I kind of D-Barrier, kind of. None of those cards are main decked, by the way. Those are just like Gopher, kind of like Gopher's blowout cards. Like, if you show me a deck that main decks D-Barrier, I guess. You show me a deck that main decks Solemns, I guess. Solemns are mainable. Are people main decking them? Because I know I'm out of touch, but like, are people maining them? Like, I remember a time, so to kind of prove I remember a time. You can go back to Zexal, chat. You can go back to Zexal, right? This is not 20 years ago. You can go back to Zexal at the beginning, chat, when the decks were like Dino Rabbit, Insector. You can go back to Zexal, look up Dino Rabbit builds, chat, and see like 9 trap cards in the main deck. Hold on. In fact, let's do that. Is it Yu-Gi-Oh! Top Decks? What's the name of that site, chat? This site that that shows like all the YCS and all the topping decks. Damn it. I thought it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Top Decks. I haven't used it in a while. Top Decks? No, but it has to be like, is it not Yu-Gi-Oh! Top Decks though? Yu-Gi-Oh! Top Decks. No, not Road of the Kings. Because Road of the Kings is just like OCG decks. Yeah, this is it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Top Decks. I don't know how it... let me look. Dino Rabbit. Let's see. All right, let's go back. Okay, so it automatically takes us back to 2013. Okay, here's a YCS chat. Dino Rabbit won it. YCS Leipzig. So it's a European YCS, won by Dino Rabbit. Let's see what the deck list looks like. I'm guessing, I would say at least 8 traps in the main deck. That's what I'm gonna say. It's probably like, what's it called? Here you go. Oh my god. This is how you know Yu-Gi-Oh's fucking fire. We got Goers in the main deck. Anyways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 traps. That was the exact number that I thought of. That was normal. That was normal, chat. And by the way, for all the little complaint, no floodgates. For anyone like, Cap, I guarantee you they were off. No floodgates. No continuous. Well, technically, Fiendish Chain is a continuous trap card, but you can't even whine about floodgates because there's none in the main deck. Like, this is how Yu-Gi-Oh! Was for 5Ds, for Zexal, for GX, DM. Like, playing 8 to 10 trap cards, chat, was just normal. It was not normal to have, like, 20 monsters or 25 monsters, 10 spells, and, like, 3 traps. And I think my count is off there. You know what I mean? So, like... There's no face down monster chat. That's just not a thing anymore. I feel like trap cards have been almost removed from the game. And then I'm trying to think if there was a second or a third complaint that I had. I guess those are like the main two. Just play Edison, old man. Cat just wants every deck to be. What's wrong with this? What's I'm not saying there can't be exceptions, chat. Because, like, it was objectively wrong to play a deck like Lightsworn. And keep in mind, chat, Lightsworn is a GX deck. So Lightsworn is fucking old. It was objectively wrong, chat, to play Lightsworn with, like, 10 traps. In fact, Lightsworn was, like, one of the first decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Chat. Like, you probably didn't really want to play any traps in Lightsworn. The only trap that they played, some people played, like, Threatening Roar. Some people play Beckoning Light, but Lightsworn was a deck where, like, you weren't playing battle traps in Lightsworn. Technically you had Necro Gardener, which was a battle trap-ish. It was just a monster form, but Lightsworn was a deck like you weren't building that like regular decks because you needed your mills to like do stuff. So Lightsworn was kind of like an exception, but this was like the norm, chat. Now, like, hold on, what was the last YCS, chat? Hold on, like YCS remote duel. It was the remote one, right? YCS remote duel 2024. Let's see. Actually, it's the MBT site. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Tenpai is getting hit. I don't like that. I still think, chat, that Tenpai is a cool deck, and I think it's just an example of people being fucking whiny. Like, I always say, like, what do you want to be meta? What do you want the meta to be? Like, Tenpai blind second, doesn't play any floodgates at all, and has to win within the first 2 turns, or it loses by default. And people for some reason think that that's bad design. Like, okay, like I don't get it. Well, hit the field spell, Cap. They hit the fucking field spell. People still complaining. I don't think you've. I did play against it. I played against. I played against Don. Don played it against me like 5 duels in a row. Like, don't tell me that just what's the problem with the deck? Don't just say, well, you've never played against it. Because first off, I have played against it. I played against Don. I literally played against them like right after I said Tenpai was like a fine deck. But like, what's your actual problem with the deck? If your argument is it's not fun to play against, like, name me the deck that's fun to play against then. Because people will say that about this deck, this deck, this deck, and this deck. People will tell you Yubel's not fun to play against. Fire Kings isn't fun to play. Like, they'll say that about every deck. In the police world, we call that boilerplate. It means, like, you're not really saying anything. Like, just say it in plain English. You know what I mean? You can make that argument that, like, every deck is not fun to play against. How come I can't get to all the tournament? I'm just trying to get to the YCS. Yeah. The Remoto YCS winning deck, chat. I think Centurion is cool. You guys know I have thought it. Let me see. Okay, top 32. Give me 1 second, chat. Oh, that's right. Freaking Tenpai won this event, chat. Why was I thinking that, like, what's it called? Why did I keep thinking Tenpai won this event? Why I kept thinking that that Snake Eye won this event. It did not. Also, they don't have his deck list. That's kind of whack. All right, whatever. Canadians took over. Okay. This is kind of what I mean, chat, by like modern, like trap cards in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. So this is a top 4. All right, so this is the 4th place Fire King deck. And like, this is what I mean. You just don't play trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh unless they can be activated from the hand. And I don't like that. You know? Like, I don't know. I don't see an issue. The issue is what trap cards are supposed to symbolize no longer exist. Oh, I'm sorry. There was a third thing, Salsa. My third problem. Overextension and punishing overextension is no longer a thing in this game. You guys, and this, I guarantee you guys are like, oh, Cap, I know what you mean. You guys have all played GOAT format, and the reason why is because Yu-Gi-Oh is way too consolidated. The game happens too fast for punishing overextension to be a thing. You guys have all played GOAT format, and you guys have all played Edison, and it's been like, you guys have had times where it's like, I've got 2 monsters on the field. Do I really want to summon a third one? Nah. What if I attack into a Mirror Force? I'm fucked. What if I summon into a Torrential? You know what I mean? Like, where you could extend resources onto the field, but you're like, no, it's just safer in my hand. That concept does not exist in Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. Does anyone disagree, chat? Where you're like, no, Cat. Like, and the only way you can even kind of argue that it does is like with board breakers. I was thinking like, well, what about when people get evenly matched after? That's like the only time that I would argue punishing overextension or overextension is punished. But the problem is, like, the counter to that, chat, is a lot of times when you have like combo decks, at least in the past, they usually had ways to just negate that. When we still had cards like Baron de Fleur and Savage, like, evenly match wasn't stopping that shit. Like, okay, you activate evenly. Cool, Savage negate. Baron negate. You know what I mean? Nibiru, I guess. I'll give you that. Nibiru kind of is a punishment to I don't know if it's overextension is more is it because you can summon 5 times and still only have like 2 cards on the field. I just think that Malcharmies, I just think, chat, I think the idea or the concept of like punishing overextension is like no longer a thing. You know what I mean? You could probably make an argument of like Nib and Mulcharmies, but back in the day, chat, you had to make a conscious decision between terms of, do I want to commit more resources to the board when I already think that I might be in a decent position? You don't think about that shit anymore now. Now in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's just go, 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 go. It exists, but not the way it used to, and that's fine. It's a different game. This is Yu-Gi-Oh 2. But okay, that's a fair counterpoint. But isn't all the variations, chat, that you guys are telling me, like, oh, trap cards exist, they're just, aren't they just all worse? Or do you guys think they're, I think every single variation of between, or every single change between Yu-Gi-Oh 1 and 2, they're all just for the worse. There isn't a single aspect where it's like, man, that got so much better now. Like, it's all worse. It's a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. People always talk about having follow-up. Okay, Grandpa. No, I'm not. First one, if I'm being a dude, I promise you I'm not being a boomer. Am I being a boomer, chat? If I'm being a boomer, that's fine. Just tell me. I just think that there were core elements that the game of Yu-Gi-Oh was built on that just like don't exist anymore. Like, I don't care what you guys say. Like, trap cards don't fucking exist anymore, chat. You're not gonna tell me that every deck running Imperm and Impulse is like still playing trap cards. Like, no, it's not. This is not the same, chat. This is not the same as Double Phoenix Chain, Mirror Force, Starlight Road, Torrential, Solemn. Like, it's just not. It's not. Setting trap cards and leaving them on the field for like people play that's one super duper duper niche deck that in the top 32 has zero representation. Like, that shows that that's just the outlier. You're when I'm saying that no one sets cards, no one sets monsters anymore, you're just saying, well, Cap, there's Mimigul. You're just naming the 1%. Like, Labyrinth it's a cute deck, but it's at this point it's probably worse than fucking Exodia. You know what I mean? It's based on the results, it's worse than Cash Tira, Centurion, and Exodia. And those are rogue decks. Well, Centurion maybe not, but you know, Mermail. It's worse than what's it called? When combo decks became prevalent, the game turned to shit. Yu-Gi-Oh is trash right now. This is not a bash-a-thon, chat. I just do not like the fact that major elements of the game, and again, I don't even think you guys can dispute, there's no such thing as setting a monster face down in Yu-Gi-Oh anymore, chat. If you're not playing, I used to say this probably about like 6 years ago when I was doing shitty replays, chat, that when people set monsters, you know, they just like, if you set a monster, I know you've lost a duel. Like, automatically, because that just isn't a thing anymore. If it was like a duel, chat, and a person set a monster, I was like, I know the game, you've already lost. You cannot set monsters in this game anymore. And I wish that was not, I wish that wasn't, you know, how it was in Yu-Gi-Oh. Set a monster equals brick. Yeah, and if you brick, you might as well just fucking scoop. You know what I mean? Like, the game is too fast, chat, for if you have bricked for you to not lose. If you brick in GOAT format, you're not gonna die. At worst, someone attacks with a Spirit Reaper and you lose a card out of your hand. It's like, all right, cool. Top deck Pot of Greed or Graceful, I'm back in this bitch. You know what I mean? Yeah, you used to, like, the game is way too, if you brick in Yu-Gi-Oh now, chat, game's donezo. In a one-turn game, game's done. I understand what you're saying, but this is like 25 years old. This is the nature of power creep and was necessary for the game to make it this far. I don't disagree with that, BP. I don't disagree that there has to be evolution. There 100% has to be evolution in every game, chat. I don't disagree with that. I just think like they need to try that. They should try to add those elements back into the game. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not talking about on the level of, well, we'll make one shitty flip deck, and if it doesn't work, oh well. Like, chat, how often do they try to add the face down element back into the game? Crawlers, Mimigul, Shadows. How many of them were successful? Shadows, which didn't even have to be set. They, like what? Like setting monsters, like they've tried that, like maybe predict. You could say prediction. They try it so seldomly. It's like no fucking wonder it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Teen angle prediction for exactly. Like have an actual concerted effort. Make every single fucking deck chat have a flip effect. For the like, make every single deck chat have like 2 flip monsters for the next like 3 years. At that point, you have forced flip monsters back into the game. Whether people like it or not, you have forced that shit back into the. Now it's like old Yu-Gi-Oh again. Don't just give us teen angle and be like, well, fucking teen angles didn't work. Guess we're never doing this again. You know, same thing with like trap cards. Like I don't know. Every trap card doesn't need to be able to be activated from the fucking hand. You know, I think that's crazy, chat. It's like infinite impermanence, evenly matched, competitive cards for forever. It's like, okay, well, how to... And by the way, chat, do you guys not remember me saying this? That, like, the way to make a battle trap was to make it activated from the hand? I feel like Konami, even though I kept saying it, I feel like Konami actually finally listened to me and, like, now I don't necessarily like the results. But that's kind of where we're at now. It's like the only way to get people to play trap cards is to make every single one of them be activatable or be able to be activated from the hand. You know what I mean? Okay, but to be fair, how many good flip monsters existed? You mean ever? So if you're going back to old Yu-Gi-Oh, like, bro, you can look at the Forbidden Unlimited list and it's filled with flip monsters. Morphing Jar, Cyber Jar, like the flip monsters used to have such insanely powerful effects that's why they ended up on the FNL list. Morphing Jar 2, Morphing Jar, Cyber Jar, Fiber Jar, like the jar cards, like we banned literally all of them. Gravekeeper Spine may have been semi'd at one point. Like there were lots of powerful, and by the way, these are all cards that came out in DM. Every single card that I'm naming, chat, Magician of Faith, she got banned. These are all DM cards. So it's not like I'm naming, you know, like these cards are, what's it called? I guess Zexal had Georgia. Yeah. Setting monsters kind of fell out of favor, chat. Probably around Zexal. Because, yeah, once we got, I mean, Georgia was like the last breath, and those also weren't technically flips, but for all intents and purposes, they kind of were. You know what I mean? Spy is the best card in GOAT format. I mean, you have cards like Gravekeeper Spy, Dakochi, Magician of Faith. Mask of Darkness always should have been good, but it just wasn't, you know? Art V had Shadows was the only semblance of flips, and like the thing about Shadows is you could win a duel playing Shadows, chat, and never set a monster. The reason Shadows were good is because they also had the graveyard effects. All right, let's get to the Dark Emperor video.
Some